Welcome to the Multipeak Marketing Podcast. Brace yourself, because we're bringing you top-level value, revealing powerful insights, and speaking to top individuals in the orthodontic industry. Let's start elevating your marketing knowledge with your host, Tyler Terrell.
Welcome, everyone, to the Multipeak Marketing Podcast. I'm Tyler, and I'm here with Davin and Clarke with WildSmiles. So let's go ahead and talk about WildSmiles. How did it begin?
Well, hello, my name's Clarke Stevens. I'm an orthodontist in Omaha, Nebraska. I grew up in Nebraska, and I went to dental school. And during dental school, I decided I didn't want to be a dentist. It seemed too boring for me because I like to be around people. So I thought orthodontics would be a perfect profession for me, and it has proven to be so. And one of the things I liked about it is there would be a lot of people around, parents and patients. And I like to have fun, so I wanted to have fun in my office because I thought that was a good way to connect with people. So when I built my first office, I had a jukebox and fun music, and it was a really great environment. But as time progressed, I had a patient come in, a little 9-year-old girl, and she had this really pretty little gold necklace on that was like a cubic heart. So it was thick as well as the little heart shape. And I looked at it laying on her neck because the chain went right through the middle of the cube. I thought that kind of looks like an orthodontic bracket. So I asked her if it'd be fun for her if there were braces that were heart shaped, and she said sure. And so then I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. So I thought that was a great idea. I had gotten a patent on another item beforehand, so I knew how to get a patent. So I decided to get some patents filed on these shapes, and then start manufacturing these braces somehow. And I took it to a couple of larger orthodontic companies with this idea of making braces that have different shapes to them. And they were a little bit hesitant because there would be a huge amount of inventory that they'd have to think about doing, because at that time they were doing a multiple variety of prescriptions. So I thought, well, maybe I can afford to do this myself. So I started making them a few years ago, making braces that were shaped like hearts and stars. And then that expanded to a baller shape, which is a round shape, like any kind of a sports ball, and a flower and a football, and then a super diamond shape. And then as that went along, I thought, well, really the best shape, or really great shape, maybe not the best, but a really good shape, would be a Mickey Mouse shape. And so I filed a patent for that. I got a patent, but I knew that if I used that shape, Mickey might get mad at me. So I thought I need to contact Disney and get connected with them. So that proved to be very difficult. I used my patent attorney. He tried to figure it out. Couldn't find anybody at Disney. I sent letters to every department in Disney I could think of. And then I happened to be out in California and LA, and I drove up to Burbank. I had a nice suit on. I had my rental car. I drove up to the Disney gate, and they wouldn't let me in. So I thought I'd try to break in, but that didn't work. And so then I thought, well, I do have a friend in Omaha that has some connection with Disney, and that would be Warren Buffett's daughter, Susie, who I went to school with. And I thought maybe because Warren used to own a lot of Disney stock, that she'd have some connection. So I called her up, and she said, well, let me think about it. And she got back to me, and she said, well, actually, there's somebody that you might be able to contact who's actually from Omaha, and her name is Patty. And so she told me who it was, and I thought, oh, I know Patty, because she went out with my brother in high school. When I was a little kid, he's 10 years older than me, and so I was the nerdy little kid around my brother and his girlfriend. And actually, she used to, my mom was sort of an interior designer, and she used to, when she got started in life, she shopped with my mom. So I drove home from college one day, and she was on top of her car in our driveway, and my dog was barking at her. So I rescued her from my dog. So that was a kind of a big memory in her life. She went on to work for President Nixon, and then went on to ABC, and that's how she got connected with Disney. And
Wow.
so I contacted her, And then she made the introductions that got me in the door at Disney. So if it wouldn't have been for those kind of connections, it wouldn't have happened. But so that part has all been fun. And one thing really great about WildSmiles is to see kids' faces light up when they see they have an opportunity to make a choice. And parents do too. They'll sometimes come in the new patient room and their kid is scared about braces, and then they see that we have all these different shapes and opportunities, and the kid will focus on something. Oh, I'd like to have the Disney shape, or I'd like to have a star shape, or the super diamond. They'll kind of think, oh, this could be fun. So that's how it got started.
That's awesome. So when someone sees WildSmiles and they want to know what it is, what is, like, in one summary, what WildSmiles is?
Well, for me, I think it's the opportunity for the patient to make a choice of what kind of braces they get. They go into the doctor all the time, and the doctor says, this is what you need to do, and they get to make no choices along the way. And our whole life now is full of choices with the social media the way it is, and everything they're doing in their life. They shop on Amazon for the exact outfit they want, and they have all these attachments to their shoes that they can put on, and everything they do is custom. And so the opportunity to have a custom orthodontic appliance is really great, that they can make a choice. So I think that's a way to get engagement with the patient and the parent. And actually, there's a lot of adult patients that choose WildSmiles too. This past week, I put heart-shaped braces on a 71-year-old patient.
Wow. That's impressive. So obviously WildSmiles is a lot about the experience that a patient gets. What kind of like results do you see with that? Like, from a marketing standpoint, I can see WildSmiles being a great marketing point of view, because like everyone sees something different. It's like, whoa, I've never seen those before. Can you tell me about, like, where'd you get those? Like, I want those. So tell me a little bit about kind of like the results you've seen in your practice and what you've seen in other practices.
That happens all the time. I know that parents, they go to a lot of games these days, all kinds of ball games, and they're sitting up at the stands watching their kids, and they're talking about braces and different things like that. And parents will tell another parent, "Oh, my son just got football braces because he plays football all the time," or Mickey braces. They'll talk about it. And I know I had a practice consultant come into my office, and she was sat down in the new patient exam, and the new patient came in, and she said, "Now, why did you come to Dr. Stevens?" And she said, "Because he has WildSmiles." It was a funny thing. I couldn't have scripted it any better, but that's exactly why they came to my office, is because they had WildSmiles.
That's awesome. Davin, yeah. Let's hear a little bit from you. Where did you come into the picture?
Yeah, so I came in right after college, actually, for me. I met Dr. Stevens while I was in college, and I'm in economics and kind of real estate kind of background. But he introduced this idea that he was going to create some braces that could make braces fun for kids. And I thought, well, that's a cool idea, and it's nothing that I ever thought I would, do or be a part of. And so we moved to Omaha from Texas and kind of started this adventure of introducing and kind of creating this idea that braces could be fun for kids. And that resonated with me because I had braces when I was a kid, and not a bad experience. Had a good experience, fun orthodontist. But I knew that if I could have had something like this, then it would have made it more personalized. And I would have probably enjoyed it a little better. And so that's kind of where I thought that this would be a really great thing. So that was a long time ago. And that was in 2006, and kind of never looked back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So on these WildSmiles braces, what kind of shapes and different things do they got? Because I know, like with the Disney, that's a special patent and everything.
Yeah.
But like, I know you guys also have like different sports teams and things. So can you tell me about like all the different types of shapes and things you guys got for them?
Yeah. So, we've kind of been through, over the years, kind of a few different iterations of what WildSmiles, how we present products, not only to doctors, and practices, but also, how do we help the doctors communicate this to the patients? And so, in 2019, we started down this path of the Disney thing, and we had the colleges. And so as part of the Disney launch, we completely rebranded and reorganized. And I always kind of like to tell people it was kind of an inside out rebrand restructuring. And we are a completely different business on multiple levels than we were before. So we now have 3 collections of products. The signature collection, which are the shapes that Dr. Stevens was talking about that kind of got us started: heart stars, flowers, footballs, diamonds, soccer balls, those kinds of things. And there are 6 different styles in that collection. And then we have the college collection, which are, we've got 20 different universities, 16 different universities that represent kind of the major brands around the country.
The most popular.
Popular, yeah. And there's a few that we are still looking at, growing into. And then we have the Disney collection. And what's a little different about the Disney collection than the other 2 is we've also, because of the licensing that we have with Disney, we have the ability to use their characters on a bunch of different ways. And so, with brackets, it has to look like the silhouette, right? So that it can be really noticeable. And so, with some of their other characters, there's a lot of really fun things that we can do and look at this experience that the patient has. Cause like we were talking about just a minute ago, that's where WildSmiles comes in, is creating this amazing, kind of unique experience that patients can have along their braces journey. Right. And so what products can we drop in to the journey that changes almost nothing for the doctor and their team in terms of delivery and inventory and all that, but can kind of dramatically change the experience that the patient has while they're in that practice. And so we started that with some elastics. And so the same elastics that, the doctor is already offering, just in fun Disney packaging. And that gives us the ability to really play with the fun characters that Disney has, and really express all those different, marketing elements that we can bring into the practice.
Right. So the brackets are basically like plug and play. They're already using those.
Yeah. So that's our goal is to find a way that we can add a product that becomes plug and play. And so for the brackets, when I'm talking to new clients or potential practices that are looking at WildSmiles, they always have a question about, okay, well, how does this work inventory wise? And it really is pretty simple, and we've got a really great system for that. And the idea is we make them in the prescriptions and the slot sizes that doctors already use. And so they just have to select what slot size and prescription they use, and then that's what we send. And most practices, will special order, for the sake of a better term, just as patients need them for the college collection. So then that really is only 7, styles. And we've got an inventory system that makes that very, very simple. That probably is, we can cover that in a little bit if you want to, but it makes it very easy. And then that really is a plug and play, and they're only for the upper 3 to 3. So a lot of doctors also don't realize this is only for 6 brackets. So even if it's a 70-year-old patient choosing hearts, or if it's an 8-year-old choosing sports balls, you're only using them on as many as 6. And in some cases, on an early treatment case, you're only using 4 brackets.
That's awesome. So when someone gets WildSmiles, what do they get? I know they kind of get like a startup guide, and they also get some different templates. Let's talk a little bit about the different things that a WildSmiles customer would get with that.
Right. Yeah. So we our biggest thing is we don't want anybody to make an investment in a new product and it just sit on the shelf and not do anything, especially with the potential that WildSmiles has to bring new revenue to the practice on multiple different levels. And so when a new practice gets started with us, we do a training. Now that can be an in-person training, which is what we do the most of. Or we actually send someone to the practice and we do, it's usually about a 2 to 3 hour training event with the entire team. We bring in lunch. It's kind of a team building activity. And then we include all of the marketing that you need. So, that goes from everything from the typodonts and the new patient presentation type materials all the way to the digital website, social media, that you really need these days to be successful and kind of introduce new products. And then it can include brackets, or we have a lot of practices that will get started with, just one set, or maybe even just order as you need until they get a kind of feel for what the mix is going to be in their practice. And then they'll keep inventory on hand. Cause certainly, if you're doing a early treatment or same day starts, you want to have a couple sets there so that you can get the patient started right then.
Right. So from the sound of it, everything is pretty much plug and play, very customized to what the practices need, and also like convenience too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when a lot of people think of plug and play, they think of like a package deal that isn't flexible. Right.
A one size fits all.
All. And so I believe we've been able to make this plug and play in the areas where it fits with the brackets and the delivery system that the doctors are already using. But it's very customizable to, if you've got 3 or 4 team members, that's a great way for us to come in and just do the virtual training and get that implemented very quickly. We can then customize it though, based on, how much inventory do you need? One thing that's really great is, we don't require our clients to order in sets. So when you get started, you'll start with sets, but then as you order, some kid might want hearts and flowers mixed. And so then we don't make them reorder in, any set way. They can just order the products that they need to fill in with the inventory. So, yeah.
Awesome. I want to hear a little bit from Dr. Clarke here. A little bit about kind of what you've seen since with this idea of WildSmiles, from like when it first started to now. Like, how have you seen that in your practice grow?
Well, I think what's kind of fascinating about it, as soon as I started introducing it into the office, it seemed to be no problem for patients to understand what it was. It was a little bit harder talking my staff into it. I had an absolutely incredible employee that came from another practice, a big practice out on the West Coast, and she was very organized and perfect at what she did. And she felt like it was a little bit of a hassle to use WildSmiles because she just wanted to get it set up when the patient came in. She, I'll say she was a German heritage just because I don't know if you know it. I'm German, mostly German. And I have a friend whose wife is Swiss, and there's something about those countries that they like things very organized. So she liked things perfectly organized. So she wanted to know a patient was coming in, get the braces on. She had it all organized before they started. And when she had to stop and put WildSmiles on instead of just the same thing every day, that sort of bugged her at first. And then she stayed in my practice for about 4 years until her husband got transferred. And one of the things she told me at the end is that she was really happy to have worked at my office because she slowed down a little bit to hang out with patients to find out if they wanted WildSmiles or not. And she hadn't anticipated liking WildSmiles, but so as time progressed, she realized it was a really good thing to engage with patients. And that's one thing I really like is that, you get started and somebody's late and your day is falling apart, your practice seems like it's out of control, and then you're putting braces on somebody who showed up a half hour late and then you're trying to get all that done. You still, when you start putting those shape braces on, or even if you don't put the shape braces on, you kind of slow down to make that person realize that they're important for you and for that day. So I think that's the thing that surprised me most about WildSmiles is not so much the incorporation from the patient. The patient really gets it right away because they can understand that. They have no idea what torque or in and out or prescription means, but they know that they're getting star braces or heart braces or whatever. So they like that. But what really is engaging is that your staff likes it too. So if you get your staff behind it, I think what it subtly does is it tells your staff and tells your patients that you care about them. And, it's even better than coffee in the waiting room or water or a T-shirt or whatever you give them. This is a real personal thing for them to be wearing WildSmiles every day and to have that, because they always, if they're a football player, they love them because they know they're playing football. It's really fun. And one of my very first patients, the first patient really that we got him on, her mother came in and she said, "Oh yeah, her teeth are all jacked up," and so she got star braces, and she said, "Oh, but she's a star now." So she came in the new patient room saying that, "Oh yeah, her teeth are all jacked up." When she got them on, she said, "Oh, she's a star." So
Wow.
yeah, it was really a wonderful experience.
Wow, that's really cool. So do you find that a lot of patients come in thinking like, my teeth are jacked up, and coming out with like this new fun idea of changing their mind from like, yeah, I'm afraid to smile to like, I'm proud to smile?
Yes, that happens a lot. Once they get their braces on, they're happy to be smiling and showing them off. And I know they engage with a lot of people with them. I know that kids, after the new patient exam, they often will ask their friends or their grandparents or people in their family, what kind of shape do you think I should get? I think we see that all the time. If you're not using WildSmiles, you might see it when they're talking about different colors on their teeth. They'll come in for the first time and they'll say, well, a lot of times adult patients will say, yeah, my granddaughter says I need to get pink ligatures on. And they also tell them, I think you need to get hearts on your teeth. That happens sometimes too. But, I think there's a kind of a full engagement so that when they get them on, they get their WildSmiles on, then they can't wait to go tell their friends or their family who they've talked to about it that they've got them on.
Right. So what's one big thing, to kind of wrap everything up, what is one big thing you would want to give patients with WildSmiles, like with practices? What would you want, what kind of value would they get out of WildSmiles as a whole? Because I know we talked about all these things, but like, what's one big giant thing that any doctor who's watching this video and sees this, what's one thing that'd be like, hey, that's a no-brainer for me to work with you guys?
Well, for me, what I think it is the engagement with the patient. They get to make a decision. You're not forcing everything down their throat about what they're going to get, a herpes appliance, or you're going to be wearing rubber bands, or you're going to have this. They get to make a decision. So you get that engagement from the patient. They get to make a decision. Whether they pick WildSmiles or not, they're getting to decide something. So it's that patient-doctor team engagement.
I love it. Davin?
Yeah.
Davin?
Yeah, so, I'll start out by saying the Disney comparison's really great here in terms of value, because, why do people pay thousands of dollars to go to Disney for a vacation when they could go to, the amusement park down the street for a couple $100? And the comparison there is not cost. The comparison there is experience. And so when you're offering an experience in your practice, like you can with WildSmiles, that creates so much value in the mind of the consumer. And so what I like to say is we help you turn shoppers into starts.
Yeah.
Right? Because now the average patient is seeing 3 opinions before they decide. Because, gone are the days, or shortly gone are the days where the bulk of your patients come from the referring dentist. You still get those, but even those are going to go on Facebook or Instagram and say, hey, my kid's going to the orthodontist. So if they could come to you and have this experience. That happens all the time. And then in terms of, to expand on that a little bit, is, from a revenue standpoint, WildSmiles can add some tremendous revenue to a practice in a couple different ways. We've spent a lot of time talking about the idea that patients go out and talk about their treatment.
Right.
Where, a patient who gets WildSmiles talks about their treatment because they want to show it off, where a patient who gets clear aligners or clear braces, they're getting that because they want to conceal the treatment that they're having. And so they're not talking about it as much. And that is where you get this, I like to call it, it's kind of like pouring gasoline on your word of mouth referrals, right? You're really just taking these people that are already talking about you, but now they're talking about it because they've got a different reason to.
Right.
But then there's also this element that WildSmiles can become a premium product that you offer, like clear aligners, like clear braces, like gold braces, for the doctors that offer those.
To help make the practices stand out more.
To help you stand out in kind of a more competitive market, certainly.
More of a fun way, the fun practice.
Exactly. Yeah. You offer options in this experience, but also, from a fee perspective, there is an opportunity, depending on your practice profile. And that's part of the reason that we come in and we do the training, is we really try to understand, what do you value as a practice? And then how can we help you integrate WildSmiles in a way that is exactly fitting with how you want your practice to run. And so for some people, we really want to focus on the marketing aspect, and the word of mouth or there's practices that say, no, I want to add a value to the consumer, that I'm going to charge a little bit for it. So there's a lot of different ways, but to wrap up this, for me, it's the experience,
right,
that we're allowing and helping the doctors to offer.
Right. And along with that helps increase the conversion rates and the starts and all that stuff. I just think that's amazing. I feel like that's, having you guys come on here, I feel like this is exactly what practices need to help grow their business. This is an amazing form of marketing. So yeah, like I love everything you just said and wrapped up right there.
Well, I appreciate it. We're thankful that you had us on, and this was a lot of fun.
Talking about the marketing thing, it is a huge marketing tool, and the beautiful thing about it is that patients don't even realize they're being marketed to by them. A lot of times they know they're getting something, they're marketing, but they feel like this is a benefit to them, a real service to them, that's an option to them. So they don't even consider it as marketing,
right? Where
they know the T-shirt you give them is, that you want them to wear around town for you, or the pens, or all the stuff you give out that's got your name all over it. It's way different with WildSmiles.
That's awesome.